Good morning, school, and welcome to Monday morning's assembly. Welcome to everyone at school and also to those of you at home today. In today's assembly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the school shutdown itself and the coronavirus, especially as lots of you will have known that last night the Prime Minister was on television and he gave the nation a bit of an update as to where we are with trying to defeat the coronavirus. On our website, you can see this book by Axel Scheffler, the illustrator for the Gruffalo. Lots of you have seen this book already. It's really helpful to just remind us what the coronavirus actually is. Remember that the coronavirus is new. It's a type of illness, but it's a virus that travels through the air, and it may also possibly cling to things like surfaces and places, and they can infect us and make us a little bit poorly. The virus causes an illness called COVID-19. If you catch it, and lots of people in the country have caught it, you might not even notice. You might not feel anything much. Maybe you'll get quite poorly, a bit like a cold. You'll have headaches and a cough or a sore throat. And some people feel really very poorly and even have to go to hospital. And tragically, some people have died from the coronavirus as well. They've died from the illness called COVID-19 that's been caused by the coronavirus. In particular, lots of these people fall into a group of vulnerable people, such as elderly, who are quite old, or people with underlying health conditions. They have perhaps other illnesses that mean they have to go to hospital for other things. These people can get really quite poorly or sadly even die if they get the virus. Now, for that reason, we've had to be living our lives very differently for the last few weeks and months, including, for the vast majority of us, not coming to school. It means we've had to talk to people like our grandparents and our friends over the internet or over the telephone and not see them in person. Now, Mr. Johnson, the Prime Minister, he says he knows that we've had to put up with real hardships to try and defeat the virus and stop it from spreading. And what lots of people are beginning to ask is, can we change some of those things now to begin to get the country going back to normal again? And I know that's a question that lots of us have had, isn't it? The thing is, though, there isn't actually a cure for the coronavirus yet. To get things really back to normal, what would really need to happen would be for us to have a cure so that we can help people if they catch the virus, or what's called a vaccination. Lots of you have received vaccinations in the past. Vaccinations give you a tiny little bit of a virus, which means that if you were to contract the virus, your body already knows how to fight it. That's not ready yet, but it is being worked on. But it means that at the moment, that hardship, those difficult things and those difficult changes we're all experiencing, those are going to carry on. So Mr. Johnson, last night, he gave us some new updated information about how he wants the country to move on. He wants us to stay alert, to control the virus and save lives. That means that he wants us to stay at home as much as possible. Now, for you children, that means, for the vast majority of you, not coming back to school yet. Not coming back to school for a little while and carrying on with your learning at home. It means that for children who are in school, they're not in school every day because they're staying at home as much as they possibly can. He's also said that grown-ups are to work from home if they can. That means that some of your parents who can't work from home, but really must go to work, will start going back to work. And that might be difficult for lots of your families, because it means they've got to look after you, but still balance going into work when they can. So we're going to have to help by being really patient to our parents and carers at home and helping them as much as we possibly can. Mr. Johnson has said we are to limit contact with other people. That means not seeing people unless you absolutely have to. And we still have to keep our distance. We still have to maintain that social distancing and keeping 2 meters apart. For the few of you who have been in school, you know that we try really hard to do that in school too, even though it's tricky. And of course, really importantly, we must continue to wash our hands frequently. Now, what Mr. Johnson said last night is that they're really hoping that by doing those things, we will begin to defeat the virus and stop it spreading. And he's outlined the shape of a plan to try and reopen things. What was important for us at school was this thing here called Step 2, where he has talked about opening schools after half term for some children. What they'd like to do after half term on June the 1st is begin to open some schools for reception, Year 1 and Year 6. Now that depends on all of those things we looked at in the last slide working well, and it also depends on some more guidance coming out from the government for how schools like ours are going to manage that situation. So the important messages I took from Mr. Johnson's speech on Sunday night were that even though we're finding it really hard to be away from our friends and family at the moment, and even though the vast majority of us are doing our learning at home and that it's been difficult, we are still going to be doing that for a little while yet. That is going to be what our normal lives are like for a little while yet. So keep being patient, keep working hard at home, and keep doing your best, because that is what we must do to play our part in helping to defeat the virus. I hope that's made things a little bit clearer for you. As always on Monday, I like to set you a challenge as well, and especially with the news as we've had this week, there are going to be lots of members of our community who are feeling anxious and worried, and particularly they'll be feeling lonely. And this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, when it's important to think about our mental health, how we feel and how it affects us. Now, being isolated like we are at the moment can cause loneliness and anxiety, and that can affect people's mental health, and it can be especially difficult for elderly people who are often away from their friends and loved ones. So we've teamed up with Age UK, a charity to support elderly residents, and we've started up a Penpal scheme. If you write a letter to an elderly Devon citizen about your experience during school closure, you may well receive a reply in the form of a Penpal. Some of you might have done Penpal things before. So if you'd like to join in, all you have to do, write a letter, and I would suggest following this structure. Begin it with Dear Friend, because we don't know their names yet, and then tell them a bit about what you've been doing since our school has closed. You can tell them why it has been difficult, but also tell them why you know you are lucky. I know that I'm very lucky because I've been able to spend more time with my family, for example. Then at the end you need to put from and just your first name and also the name of your class. And if you'd like somebody to write back to you, you need to put on there, please can I have a reply. If you'd like the letter sent off to Age UK, you can post them to our school. We'll do it for you, or you can ask your parents and carers to send an email to your class teacher, and then they can get them sent off for you as well. So that's your challenge this week. Hopefully we'll get lots of letters sent off to Age UK. I know it will make some of our friends in Devon feel really positive. Thank you very much for listening to this morning. I hope you have a really good rest of the week. I'm looking forward to seeing some of you in school, and looking forward to see the home learning that the rest of you have been getting up with too. See you again on Friday for our celebration assembly.